It is one of the most downloaded apps in the App Store. More than every third person in the United States has an account. 67% of all the kids between 12 and 17 use it. The app we're talking about is
TikTok.
The issue?
Some parents, they're reporting their kids don't have the attention span to even sit through a movie anymore, let alone read.
The U.S. Surgeon General issued a warning, calling the youth mental health crisis the defining public health issue of our time.
That's now kind of the frightening data to support what we've wondered all along, which is, yes, in fact, there is an actual neurological reason why looking at those kinds of videos is just so addicting.
It all started with two different apps. One of them was Musical.ly, a social media app used to create and share short videos. It was launched in Shanghai in 2014. The other one was Douyin, a similar service launched by the Chinese tech giant ByteDance. High on the success of over 100 million users in China and Thailand, ByteDance wanted to expand Douyin under a different brand, TikTok. It bought Musical.ly in 2018 and folded it in. The new app was a resounding success.
I have to show you something what I do.
Favorite app?
I'd probably say like TikTok.
TikTok's secret of success? An extraordinarily powerful algorithm that learns what content users like to see way faster than many other apps.
When I'm looking at TikTok, it's just so many funny videos and I just keep scrolling.
The mindless scrolling is so hard on them. And then their ability to be engaged with people around, but they want to watch their phone and do that at the same time.
Not only parents have noticed a difference in their kids' behavior.
What happens is we're starting to see an increase in ADHD. You're less likely to be able to focus, have longer periods of attention and concentration. Reading seems boring. Even watching a movie, they say, is starting to seem boring to kids because it's just too long. They don't have the attention span for it.
There's different things competing for your attention. The frontal lobe isn't fully developed until around age 25. That is the center for reasoning, judgment, decision-making, being able to choose whether to stop something or to kind of be able to avoid giving in to kind of repetitive behaviors.
Now, do you use TikTok?
Yes.
How often?
About more than 8 hours a day, probably.
The average 8 to 12-year-old in the United States spends between 5 and 5.5 hours on screen media every day, and an average of 91 minutes on TikTok. Videos on TikTok are between 15 seconds and 3 minutes long, which means if a child spends 1.5 hours on TikTok, it will have watched between 30 and 360 short videos.
And what that means is that the brains, particularly the developing brain of young children and teens, is starting to get quite used to these short form videos to the point where we see dopamine, which is your feel-good hormone. It is what is involved in addiction. It gets spiked up. So when they're looking through and they're scrolling through these real quick videos, that's what's happening. They're getting these dopamine hits that feel good, just the way it does when people sometimes use drugs or they use alcohol.
I wouldn't say it's like an addiction, but it'll be something that brings you joy, but then when you don't find anything on it, you'll still want to look for things that'll make you happy.
And what does TikTok have to say about this? Their mission statement reads, TikTok understands its responsibilities towards both its audience and content creators, while also ensuring adherence to local community guidelines. And yet,
TikTok executives knew how damaging their app was to young users, according to legal documents we were never supposed to see.
An article published by the WUKY reads, an analysis of court documents by Kentucky Public Radio revealed the social media company TikTok knew users can become addicted to the platform in under 35 minutes. The result?
TikTok designed these features to mimic a cruel slot machine that hooks kids' attention and does not let them go.
And TikTok is dealing with another lawsuit aside from the addiction one. The US Justice Department has already filed a lawsuit accusing the app of failing to protect children's privacy. While similar concerns have already led to many other countries banning the app on government devices, The US could be the first country to ban it completely.